Welcome to An Author Dissects a Narrative with your host, Husna Haze. In this captivating series, we will unravel the intricate tapestries of your favorite movies, TV shows, games, books, and beyond. Prepare to embark on a journey of analysis and exploration as we uncover the hidden gems and profound themes within these beloved narratives. Remember to show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing for a regular dose of insightful content. Let's delve into the realms of storytelling together. Welcome back to the Deconstructed Universe. That's right, we're back. Today we're diving into one of the biggest Korean dramas of 2026, Perfect Crown. This drama took over streaming platforms almost overnight between the visuals, palace politics, romance, class commentary, and chemistry between IU and Baeyoon Woo-suk. This series became one of the most talked about K-dramas of the year. But beneath the beautiful cinematography and royal fantasy aesthetic, Perfect Crown actually gives writers a masterclass in romantic tension, emotional pacing, character layering, political conflict, visual storytelling, social hierarchy writing, modern fantasy world building, and how K-dramas approach romance differently from Western television. Today, we are doing a full season recap and analysis, and we're talking the entire plot, every major character, the acting performances, the best and weakest writing choices, pacing issues, plot holes, romance structure, storytelling lessons authors can steal from this drama, and why Korean dramas emotionally hit audiences differently. And yes, spoilers for the entire season. So grab your tea, coffee, notebook, or manuscript draft because this episode is going to be long. Let's get into Perfect Crown. Perfect Crown is a South Korean romantic political drama set inside an alternate modern Korea where the monarchy still exists. And immediately, that concept alone explains why the drama became successful. Because K-dramas are excellent at taking fantasy concepts and grounding them emotionally. Instead of dragons, magic systems, or giant world-ending stakes, Korean dramas often focus on emotional realism, social expectation, class systems, family exposure, identity, sacrifice, and impossible love. Perfect Crown uses a fictional constitutional monarchy to explore all those themes. The story follows Song Hae-ju, played by IU. Hae-ju is the illegitimate daughter of a powerful chaebol family. She has wealth, she has intelligence, she has beauty, she has business success. But because she was born outside traditional legitimacy, society still treats her like she is inferior. That is one of the strongest pieces of writing in the entire show. Perfect Crown constantly asks, what is status actually worth? Because Hae-ju technically has everything, yet socially she still cannot fully enter society. And that insecurity drives almost every decision she makes. IU plays Hae-ju with an incredible balance between vulnerability, pride, ambition, emotional repression, and loneliness. One of the reasons IU works so well in emotionally heavy dramas is because she understands silent acting. K-dramas rely heavily on microexpressions. Western television often prioritizes dialogue. K-dramas prioritize emotional observation. The camera lingers, the silence matters, the pauses matter, the eye contact matters. IU understands exactly how to perform for that style of storytelling. Grand Prince Yi-an, played by Baeyoon Woo-suk, is technically royalty, but almost has no real power. And this creates a fascinating mirror structure between the leads. Hae-ju has money without legitimacy. Yi An has legitimacy without freedom. This is excellent character design. Writers should study this carefully. Strong romance writing often works through mirrored emotional wounds, opposite strengths, complementary weaknesses. The audience understands immediately why these two characters are drawn together. Not because they are attractive, not because the script says so, but because they emotionally complete each other's missing identity. Byun Woo Suk plays Yi An with restraint, and restraint is difficult acting. A lot of actors mistake restraint for emptiness, but Yi An constantly feels emotionally alive underneath the royal mask. That performance is what makes the romance believable. Now, the supporting cast, we've got the Queen Dowager Woon Yi-rang, played by Gong Song-yeon, one of the strongest antagonistic figures in the drama. And importantly, she is not written as cartoonishly evil. K-dramas often excel at creating antagonists motivated by preservation of order, fear of collapse, and institutional survival. She believes the monarchy's survival through control. And from her perspective, Haeju represents chaos. That layered motivation makes her compelling. Min Jong-woo, played by No Sang-hyun, one of the most politically dangerous characters in the series because unlike the royals, he understands modern power. He represents the merger between politics, media, economics, and public image. He is less emotional than the royal family, which makes him more dangerous. So before we go into the actual plot recap, we need to talk about something important. Why do K-dramas emotionally affect audiences differently? Because the writing structure itself is different. Western television often prioritizes constant plot escalation, sarcasm, fast pacing, twists every episode, spectacles. K-dramas prioritize emotional build-up, atmosphere, character intimacy, longing, delayed gratification. Perfect Crown is built almost entirely around yearning. The show understands that anticipation creates stronger emotional payoff than instant gratification. For authors watching this is one of the biggest mistakes modern writers make. They rush emotional payoffs. K-dramas are masters of tension. They let glances linger, conversations breathe, emotional conflict simmer. Perfect Crown especially uses hand touches, eye contact, silence, physical distance, and emotional restraint. And because of that, when emotional explosions finally happen, they feel earned. That is something novelists desperately need to study, especially romance writers. Another huge difference is visual storytelling. K-dramas trust audiences to interpret emotion visually. The framing in Perfect Crown constantly reinforces hierarchy. For example, Haeju is often framed alone in massive spaces. Yi An is frequently trapped behind palace architecture. The Queen Dowager is almost always elevated physically in scenes. Public appearances are filmed like performances on stage. Nothing is accidental. K-dramas understand symbolism extremely well. And writers should learn from that, because novels should also use symbolic repetition, not just visual repetition. Themes should echo through dialogue, location, clothing, repeated phrases, and emotional choices. Perfect Crown does this consistently. Now we're on to the fun part, the full plot recap. Episode 1 to 2 represent the foundation. The opening episodes establish hierarchy immediately. We see Haeju navigating elite society while still being treated like an outsider. And the drama smartly avoids making her weak. This is important. She is not written as a helpless Cinderella figure. She is intelligent, strategic, emotionally guarded. That makes her compelling. Meanwhile, Yi An is introduced as emotionally isolated within the palace. The palace itself almost functions like a prison. This is where world building becomes strong. The monarchy system is not just aesthetic. It affects media coverage, politics, dating, social status, business deals, public perception. And this is done phenomenally because good fantasy world building changes society structurally. This is what Perfect Crown does well. The contract marriage proposal becomes the central catalyst, and here is where K-dramas excel. The contract marriage trope should feel ridiculous, yet K-dramas repeatedly make it work because they understand emotional logic. The characters emotionally need the arrangement. That matters more than realism. Writers need to understand this. Audiences accept unrealistic plots if emotional motivations feel authentic. Episodes 3 to 4 are where the emotional tension really begins. These episodes are where the chemistry starts carrying the show. The writers slow everything down, and that is smart. They allow awkwardness, hesitation, misunderstandings, and vulnerability to take root. One of the strongest scenes is when Haeju begins realizing Yi-an sees her as a person rather than a political object. That emotional recognition is the true romantic turning point. Not the kisses, not the flirting, recognition. That is the heart of most great romance stories. The show also starts introducing media pressure, and this is one of the smartest themes in the series, because modern monarchy only survives through public image. Perfect Crown constantly reminds viewers that power is performance. The royal family behaves like celebrities. That commentary feels extremely modern. Now, episode 5 and 6 are where the political warfare really kicks off. This is where the drama becomes more ambitious. The Queen Dowager begins actively manipulating palace dynamics. Min Jong-woo increases political pressure, and Haeju realizes marriage alone will not give her acceptance. This is crucial. The drama avoids an easy fantasy solution. Haeju does not magically become accepted. Instead, the closer she gets to the crown, the more violent the backlash becomes. That is realistic social writing. Systems resist change. One thing K-dramas often do very well is institutional pressure. Characters are not just fighting violence, they are fighting systems that are deeply ingrained in society. Perfect Crown explores elitism, bloodline obsession, patriarchal expectations, image control, and inherited power. Because those themes are grounded, the romance feels bigger. The love story becomes rebellion. Episodes 7 and 8 are where the emotional collapse really happens and everything really intensifies. This is arguably the strongest section of the season because both leads begin emotionally breaking. Haeju's insecurities worsen, Yi-an becomes trapped between duty and personal desire, and this is where the writing becomes more tragic. The drama understands something important. Love alone does not erase trauma. A weaker show would suddenly fix everything once the couples confess their feelings. Perfect Crown does not do that. Instead, emotional intimacy creates more vulnerability. That is realistic. The palace attacks become more dangerous, media scandals intensify, and public opinion starts turning. Episodes 9 and 10 are some of the strongest. This is where the cracks in the crown start to show. These episodes shifts heavily into political confrontation. Secrets surrounding royal successions begin to surface, and the show finally reveals how unstable the crown truly is. These two episodes work because the emotional stakes and political stakes merge. That is advanced storytelling. The romance is no longer separate from the political plot. They become the same story. The more Yi-an loves Haeju, the more dangerous she becomes to the Institute. That creates unavoidable conflict. And unavoidable conflict is the engine of the drama. A lot of writers make the mistakes of creating conflicts that are solvable through one conversation. Perfect Crown avoids that. The conflict exists because the system itself is incapable and incompatible of merging with emotional freedom. That is why the tension works. Episodes 11 and 12 are the final breaking point. The final two episodes are where Perfect Crown fully transforms from a romantic political drama into a tragedy about identity, sacrifice, and institutional survival. Episode 11 especially is emotionally brutal because the show finally strips away illusions. Haeju realizes that no matter how much she sacrifices, elite society may never truly accept her. And Yan realizes the monarchy itself cannot coexist with emotional honesty. This is where the drama becomes much darker philosophically. The romance stops feeling fantasy. Instead, it feels like two people trying to survive inside systems designed to control them. One of the strongest writing decisions in episode 11 is how public pressure escalates. The media attacks, the political manipulations, and the family expectations all collide into one big explosion. Everything closes in simultaneously, and this creates narrative compression. Great finals make audiences feel trapped alongside the characters. Perfect Crown does that extremely well. The confrontation between Haeju and the Queen Dowager is one of the best scenes in the entire series because neither woman is entirely wrong. That is what elevates the writing. The Queen Dowager believes the monarchy requires sacrifice. Haeju believes human beings deserve freedom. Both perspectives make emotional sense. Complex ideological conflict always creates stronger drama than simplifying morality does. Then we move into episode 12, and visually this is arguably the strongest episode in the entire series. The direction becomes colder, the palace feels emptier, the lighting becomes harsher, even the romance scenes feel emotionally exhausted. That visual exhaustion reflects the emotional state of the characters. Writers should pay attention to this. The tone should evolve alongside the character's psychology. One of the most powerful aspects of the final is the Perfect Crown refuses to fully romanticize royalty. By the final episode, the crown itself feels heavy, oppressive, lonely, performative. That symbolism is important. The title Perfect Crown becomes ironic. And this is where us writers should take a little page out of this series, because when we name our series, our books, our stories, our adventures, when we put those thoughts to paper, we actually forget sometimes in naming the story that we're writing that it all ties together. And where the irony comes in with Perfect Crown becomes so iconic that is something that I took away as a writer. Because the show ultimately argues there is no such thing as a perfect institution, only people attempting to survive inside broken systems. The final emotional confrontation between Haeju and Yan works because the series spent so much time building emotional restraint. The audience waited, and because the show delayed emotional catharsis for so long, every conversation, every emotional breakdown lands harder. That is payoff structured right. The ending itself is intentional and bittersweet. That is another thing K-dramas often do differently. Western media often prioritizes total victory. K-dramas prioritize emotional resolution. Those are not the same thing. Perfect Crown asks, can we survive institutional designed constraints and systems that are essentially trapping us in a cage and burying us under expectations designed to constrain us, to essentially destroy our individuality? The answer the show gives is partial. The leads gain control and emotional honesty, but the system itself remains unstable. That ambiguity makes the ending stronger because real social systems do not collapse overnight, and the show wisely avoids pretending romance alone fixes inequality. So now we're at the part where we do like the final analysis. I will have to give this show, The Perfect Crown, a very big B. Now, I didn't want to give it an A because it had like its issues. I approached this more from a writer taking tips and like analyzing and breaking everything down. but from like just like seriously like an audience member, like I had my qualms and I didn't really like go off the cuff in this analysis, but like there was a script and everything. I had to actually think about every episode and the scenes and what I got from it as a writer. So yeah, a B. So the final analysis is essentially like the ending is intentional and it's bittersweet. I liked it. It was good for what it was, but I do think that sometimes love, I don't know, it just had like a bigger message, which was like love can survive institutions designed to destroy individuality. That was a question, and can it? Partially it can. The leads gain emotional honesty, which is something that they've been working towards the entire time. I personally was team prime minister. I don't know, I always fall for the second male leads, but I don't know why she just didn't marry the second male lead when she wanted to like elevate. That's something that the writers did on purpose, but I don't like the way he betrayed her in the end. But at the end of the day, like I was just like, girl, you needed to marry some powerful guy and you just decided to go straight for the prince and you had like the prime minister right there. Doesn't make sense. So some of the things that they did well in their writing decisions for Perfect Crown was their emotional restraint. Perfect Crown understands delayed emotional payoff. This is why scenes feel intense. The writers avoid constant emotional screaming. Instead, they build pressure slowly, which is like the slow burn in writing. And sometimes I'm down for a slow burn, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it gets very tedious, but when the characters finally break emotionally, audiences feel it. Now, the mirrored character construction is something that I think we'll have to do like a separate video on, but Heiju and Nian mirror each other, beautifully. Both are trapped by status, both feel incomplete, both crave autonomy, and that traumatic mirroring strengthens every romantic interaction that they have. The atmosphere over exposition is something that I think I took away from that as well. The drama trusts visual storytelling. This is something novelists should study, and I need to get better at this as well in my writing. You do not always need a character to explain everything, like emotionally or like what's happening. Sometimes just setting, silence, pacing, gesture, symbolism can carry emotional meaning. And this is where I plug the Nakazi & Co. Pro Writer service, where we do developmental editing. There's a bunch of editors there that are very, very savvy around a manuscript. They do like this pacing, copy editing, line editing, all of that. And yeah, this is something that I definitely need help with. And I've been writing for a long time now, but yeah, check out our Pro Writer service if you're a writer and you need help with your manuscript. And then there's like a strong use of institutional conflict. The monarchy system affects every aspect of the story. Good world building is not decorative. It shapes relationships, opportunities, power dynamics, emotional choices. Perfect Crown understands this, which is good. The chemistry built through vulnerability, I have to say, like, I felt like she had more chemistry with Prime Minister guy. And like I already mentioned before, I was like, why didn't you just marry Prime Minister? He was like already up there, but you had to go for the prince. I don't know. I always have second male lead syndrome. I just feel like she could have gone for the Prime Minister right there, but she decided to go for Yi An. Yeah. So that's all I've got to say about that. But it was obvious the Prime Minister was going to betray her in the end. And then some plot holes and weaknesses that we have to address. So let's just discuss this and just be brutally honest. Perfect Crown was successful, but at the same time it has flaws. Inconsistent political logic. This is something that I just, it just kept popping up. At times, the monarchy system feels under-explained. The show wants modern, dramatic politics and royal authoritarian influence simultaneously, but sometimes it becomes unclear exactly how much legal power the royals actually possess. That inconsistency occasionally weakens tension because the audience needs to understand the rules of power, and that is not very highlighted very well. Also, side characters vanish too often. Several supporting characters feel underdeveloped, especially figures introduced early as major threats or emotional obstacles. Some storylines simply disappear once the romance intensifies. That creates a pacing imbalance, and this is just something that it really did bad at. And then the middle episodes slightly drag, and I just find this happens a lot with K-dramas. I don't know what it is. Every time I watch a K-drama, the middle episodes drag. The middle episodes slightly drag, it is just what it is. Episode 5 and 6 occasionally repeat emotional beats. K-dramas sometimes just struggle with mid-season pacing because they rely heavily on emotional atmosphere, and while emotional atmosphere is powerful, scenes still need progression. The storyline still needs progression. And then the ending needed one more episode. The final resolves emotional arcs better than political ones, which I just found lackluster. A final extended episode exploring public aftermath would have strengthened the conclusion significantly. And then on to my favorite part, storytelling lessons for authors. And I know we've already touched upon this throughout this analysis and review, and this author deconstructs the universe. So we're just gonna go by lessons. I bullet pointed everything. Lesson 1, build romance through emotional need. Leads do not need to fall in love because the plot requires it. They fall in love because they emotionally understand each other. That is the difference between chemistry and attraction. Chemistry comes from emotional recognition. Lesson 2 that I picked out. Social systems create better conflict than villains. The most powerful obstacle in Perfect Crown is not the person, it's the hierarchy itself. Individuality is basically intentional. Everybody's an individual, but they're all fighting in this system. And the conflict creates richer drama because it feels unavoidable. They're all just in this rat race to get to the top. And then lesson 3, atmosphere matters. Writers often focus on plot and only plot, and this is why you need to get a developmental editor, a copy editing editor, a line editor, or somebody just to go through your manuscript, your story. And yes, I'm going to tell you again, the Pro Writer service at Nikazi & Co. will help you with that. Writers often focus only on plot, but emotional atmosphere is what creates the immersion that audiences fall into. Think about sensory details, pacing, silence, recurring imagery, emotional rhythm. That is what audiences remember, and a good editor will catch this and help you execute it very well. Lesson 4, use contrasts in character design. Heiju and Yan work because they represent opposite forms of imprisonment. That contrast creates tension, and the tension creates engagement. Lesson 5, delayed gratification creates stronger emotional payoff. Do not rush emotional climaxes. Now, I do want to state that doesn't mean drag it out. That doesn't mean drag it out. I love a good slow burn, but the slow burn has to end, and it does not have to be something that is just keeps going and going and going and going. Just do it in moderation, because I cannot stand a long slow burn. I cannot. But obviously, if you have an editor, you guys can go back and forth with this. But for me, don't rush emotional climaxes, but don't delay it so much that it's just dragging. Build anticipation, let scenes breathe, trust emotional build-up. K-dramas understand this extremely well. And then, what is the final verdict, guys? We're at the end. So overall, was Perfect Crown worth the hype? Yes and no. From this analysis, it did very well for a K-drama. It was very good from like a writing perspective, but at the same time, there were some parts of it that were very underwhelming. But obviously, this analysis, this author deconstructor universe, had to be a bit more like strategic in what I was getting out of this. So I came at it with like a fine-tooth comb, but I had ulterior motives. But from an audience's perspective, there were some things that really needed work. Even with the pacing issue and political inconsistencies, the drama succeeded because it understands emotional storytelling. And ultimately, audiences forgive flaws when they emotionally connect with the characters. That is the real reason here. That The Perfect Crown succeeds, because viewers feel loneliness, longing, pressure, vulnerability, and emotional expression and repression from these characters and these story arcs. The show taps into universal emotional experiences underneath the royal fantasy. That is why people become obsessed with it as fast as they did. As a writer, this drama is worth studying for obviously romance, pacing, character tension, visual symbolism, class conflict, emotional restraint, and atmosphere. This was something that I really learned. So yeah, I hope you really enjoyed it. If you are writing romance, political fantasy, emotional drama, or character-driven fiction, this is a lot that you can dive into here and like learn from and take a lot out of it. Obviously, like, just because you're a writer doesn't mean that you have to stick to just books and whatever it is, the medium that you're writing in. Story arcs, storytelling is transferable across all different mediums, from books, games, TV shows, movies, comic books, graphic novels. There is something to learn out of every medium and every story that's told within that medium. So yeah, thank you for watching the episode. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Perfect Crown, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts. Please engage in the comment section, and I will catch you in the next one. Welcome to the end of the video, and thank you very much for making it to the end. Make sure you check out Vertigo Honor Bound by Blood, the first installment in the Vertigo book series. It is set in 2095 at the heart of the Imperial Champion regime, where Emperor Gregory Champion rules over Earth and the colonies stretching out across the solar system, where there is a virus called the Omega virus that has mutated and changed the political landscape of Earth. This is a story about factions, about coming of age, about the importance of being firm in what you believe in a world where bloodlines matter. What faction are you?